For within 3 days, you'll pass over this transition to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you to possess it. So in other words, it is shaky right now, but when it's all over, you're going to take over. It is shaky right now, but when it's all over, you're going to take over. Wow. Wow. But I thought it was odd that in the midst of them being under the responsibility of going from being farmers, a whole bunch of farmers, to being fighters, because now the farmers have to fight. God says to them, you have to take over Canaan, and the Canaanites are experienced warriors, and you're good at farming, at gardening, then you want to fight. So I understand why God would say to Joshua, be courageous and command the people. But then when he told them to cook, I thought it was odd. I thought it was odd. It seems odd to tell me to go cook dinner when I'm getting ready to be in a fight. So we have to go to the book of Exodus to understand the significance of why God told them to prepare the victuals, and why Moses would take the time to record this down for our understanding. So in the book of Exodus, chapter 16, verse 35, and I'm reading out of the NIV translation, it says this: the Israelites ate manna 40 years. God fed them out of heaven through a system of running bread until they came to a land where they would settle. They ate manna until. Say until. Until. Say it again. Until. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. But then the manna ceased. The manna ceased. What do you do when what you expected doesn't work? What do you do when it stops working?
Cry. Cry out.
What do you do when it stops working? Whatever it is in your life, what is it that you do when it stops working? You see, anything if you do long enough, for any period of time, becomes a routine. It becomes a norm. It becomes a pattern. God had been feeding them for 40 years. It had been 40 years that they didn't have to cook. For 40 years, they were saying, give us today our daily bread. And it fell down from heaven, settled on the dew. They reached it, received it, thank God, and ate it. 40 years of that. But then the scripture says that when they came close to the land of Canaan, the provision ceased. We're looking at provision versus promise. There's a difference between walking in provision and walking in promise. When they were in the wilderness, they had provision, but they're walking towards the promise. So what is provision? Provision is how God sustains you while you're waiting on the promise. Because if you can get to the promise has provision in it.
Amen.
Come on. Provision is how God sustains you while you wait. 40 years they have lived in provision. But then the Word of God says that when they got close to Canaan, the provision stopped. What is Canaan? Another word for it is promised land. Another word for it is a Beulah land.
Yeah.
Canaan land, Beulah land, all the same thing. something that God promised you. That makes you, something that God promised you that you're waiting to come to fruition. Something that gets you out of bed every morning. Makes you brush your teeth every morning. Makes you go to work every morning because you're after the promises of God. And the promises of God are yes and amen. So you're after the promises of God. You gave up some of your old habits. Walked away from some of your sin. Rebuked your procrastinating, lazy self because you are a child of the promise. What separates you and some of your own relatives is that they are living without a promise. But you have a promise that makes you smile in the rain. Makes you smile in the rain. It makes you laugh in the pain because no matter how, in spite of how bad it is today, I have a promise.
Hallelujah.
When people die, we do not sorrow like the world sorrows because we have a promise.
Come on.
The world grieves in a deeper way because they say, I'm never going to see her again. But we don't grieve like the world grieves because we have a promise that some glad morning when this life is over, we have a promise. And that is important. So when they came close, the Word of God says, when they got close to the promise, the provision ceased. When provision ceases, the soul panics. Have you ever had something that you're counting on stop? You used to reach it, and now you can't. You used to get to go to work, you can't. You used to open up the door of your tent and catch the bread. And now your hand is reaching. And you say, God, it's morning. I see to do. Drop the bread. And you come back with empty hand. Oh, the horror of empty hands. Dwindling bank accounts. Anything that has been consistent and stops, we panic. What's wrong? What's wrong? I'm fired. I lost my job. What did you say? She took everything. She left me. The manna ceased. The countenance falls. And all of a sudden God says to Joshua, be strong. That's when strength comes.
Yeah.
Anybody can be strong when what you need is falling in your lap.
Sure.
The strength comes when all hell has broken loose and what you're counting on has stopped. You have to reach deep inside of yourself and say, though he slay me, still will I trust him.
Yes.
Though he slay me, still will I trust him.
Thank you.
Turn to your neighbor and say, be strong.
Be strong.
Say it again, be strong.